Radenkovic is still leading. Swiderski, Huben, Herboz, Van Rooyen. Dave Stevens has got past Tino Sidler for 6th on the road. And the way that things stand, Radenkovic has Max Swiderski's number at the minute. But that's at this particular juncture with just over 9.5 minutes still to go on the clock. Radenkovic now has a bit more of an advantage over Swiderski. Huben rounds out the top 3 still. You can see a nice little battle here. That's got Jake Menton at the front of that train. Kaz Tobben and Mick van den Berg, they round out the top 10. Going through this fast left-hander here. Now closing on Tino Sidler, who is being dropped a little bit by Taze Stevens. Sidler last time around did a 1 minute 1.0. Stevens a 1 minute 0.068. As we head into 8 minutes and 55 seconds left to go on the clock. Still very much as you were, but Radenkovic has dropped into the 59.8s for the first time in this race, and he has pulled a gap of nearly 6/10 over Mad Max, as I like to call him, Max Swiderski, but Swiderski will not be phased. Now the thing is that Mies Huben already has a ticket to the International Trophy. He secured that in the last week of May at Adria Karting Raceway for the second round of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy, which heads to Motorsport Arena Mulsen in just a couple of weeks' time, 16th to the 18th of July. And the gap between Swiderski and Huben has increased to about 1.4 seconds. Could be north at about 1.6 very shortly, as we have 8 minutes to go on the clock. Radenkovic leads now by just under 7/10 of a second from Max Swiderski. Mies Huben, Lawrence Herboz, Mas van Rooyen, Taze Stevens, Tino Sidler, Jake Menton, Kaz Tobben, Mick van den Berg, Lars Lambers, Ruben and Thomas Verheyen. They round out the 13 strong that are still circulating at the track at the moment. You can just see how easily Radenkovic... Now, Radenkovic has always been rather strong when he was in Micromax, when he went up to Minis. That's when we got a bit of a surprise, and he's been rather good in terms of how he looks ahead to races, as Jake Menton's made some progress as well, because he's now managed to get past Tino Sidler from Switzerland, and Sidler now coming under fire from Kaz Tobben and Mick van den Berg, and they round out the top 10. And Sidler is coming under all kinds of pressure from the 134 from the Netherlands just behind him. As the gap between first and second now extends to nearly a second, and we're on lap number 7 of this race, the Minimax Prefinal here at Karting de Fagne in Mariembourg in the Namur region. And a little bit more curb taken of the exit of turn 3 by Jake Menton, but he still manages to use the rumble strips and keeps him planted. Kaz Tobben looking up the inside on that particular occasion of Tino Sidler, but Sidler able to defend. This could allow Mick van den Berg to get past Kaz Tobben very shortly indeed. So we are over the halfway point of the race. The pre-final on day 1 of competition here at the BNL Karting Series for round 2 of the season. And it has been an interesting one so far. There's Jake Menton starting to pull away from Tino Sidler, as Kaz Tobben was looking up the inside of the 110 going into turn 1 on that particular occasion, but thought better of it. And there is the move through turn 3, so Kaz Tobben has possibly got the job done. He has got the job done before he left at 4. Now into the right-hander here at C5. It sweeps across the circuit, the back end of the circuit rather nicely into 6. And then this is where things really pick up momentum, because you've got to carry it through. The Mojo tyres being tortured from left sidewall to right sidewall on the respective tyres into this little chicane complex here before they come through into the final double right-hander before the chicane. here at the circuit. 5 minutes to go. Radenkovic has now got nearly a 1.5 second lead over Max Swiderski. Mies Huben is sitting rather stationary in third place at the minute. Laurens Herbols, Mats van Rooyen, Kaz Tobben ahead of Jake, well, now behind Jake Menton. Kaz Tobben hasn't been able to gap Tino Sidler as much as I would probably imagine that the 134 would like to do. But Mick van den Berg still keeping there or thereabouts, as we got a little bit of a battle a little bit further back, and one of which I believe that looks to be maybe, I'm just trying to keep an eye on this, and I would imagine that's going to be behind Mies Huben, Mats van Rooyen, and that's the 182 of Thijs Stevens. Mats van Rooyen sporting the Team Netherlands overalls that he was meant to wear at Portimao in late part of January for the rescheduled 2020 Grand Finals. But the good thing is it's a new set of race overalls, so he can use them wherever he likes to, and they comply with the current regulations as well. So just over 3.5 minutes to go, plus an additional lap. Matej Radenkovic is storming away into the distance. And despite the best efforts of Max Swiderski, the 107 on the Energy chassis can't give chase, but has still been putting lap times in the sub 60-second bracket, 59.970 from Swiderski, and actually for the last 2 laps has put exactly the same lap time in, so right on the money for Max Swiderski. Mies Huben running just outside of the 60.4 second bracket as we head into the last 3 minutes of the race. And this battle here between Herbols, van Rooyen and Stevens looks to be a bit of a cracker as they go through, and between the trio they are separated, well, not by much, put it this way, less than 0.6 of a second separate 4th to 6th at this particular moment in time. But it has been pretty much smooth sailing so far for Matej Radenkovic, who really hasn't looked back and is just keeping Max Swiderski at bay, and has now opened up a gap of around about 2.7 seconds. So that is going to be music to Matej Radenkovic's ears as well as his dad's. So the good thing is this has been pretty consistent for Radenkovic. It's getting a little bit feisty still. I mean, there's Mies Huben, and then you've got Laurens Herbols leading the train from 4th to 6th, and they are battling away like a good one. And they are less than half a second apart. I mean, well, that's less than 4.5 tenths. And there is Huben. And then you've got the 3-way scrap behind. And then a little bit further back, you've got the battle between Jake Menton, Kaz Tobben, Tino Sidler, and the 129 of Mick van den Berg. And they are covered by, well, less than about 8 tenths by my reckoning. So the good thing is, it might be a bit of a stalemate between the top 3. That very much is assured. But the battles from 4th to 6th, 7th to 10th are going to go waging on until the checkered flag falls. And you can just see that Mies Huben is just keeping his head down, just concentrating on the job at hand and moving ahead. Or just make sure he finishes. That's what you need to do in this kind of thing. And this really is effectively the first of 2 rounds this weekend for these drivers. So effectively, with all things well and being good at Karting Genk in October later on this year, we'll be able to see them back in action again. So your guess is as good as mine whether this is a one-off this year. It's difficult to say because obviously we don't know how things are going to evolve, but the main thing is that I definitely want to make sure that I want to see that those guys and girls are there in the paddock and they're going racing. And so the final round of the BNL karting series actually returns to the home champions Karting Genk, and that will be the 9th and 10th of October. So, timer has hit 0. And it looks like with Mateo Radenkovic and Max Swiderski have managed more. The gap that he's got ahead of him, well, behind him, between himself and Max Swiderski. So next time round it will be the final lap board. Mies Huben, stationary, well, holding station in too much about the dying moments, because Mats van Rooyen and Laurens Herboz are trying to break away from Dave Stevens. But Stevens keeping with them, and looks like there's a little look over the right shoulder from Mats van Rooyen as we go on to the final lap for the pre-final here in Minimax. So Radenkovic's lead over Max Swiderski now stretches to just under 4.1 seconds as we go on to the 15th and final lap. No real changes for positions over the past 14 and a half minutes of this race. And Radenkovic took pole position by a considerable margin earlier on today. The good thing is, there is the leader. He's about to come through into the double right-hander for the final time of asking. So, Buvin Power get a good start to their Minimax campaign, courtesy of Mateo Radenkovic, as there is the checkered, and it waves. Mateo Radenkovic untroubled, unfazed, unchallenged, after he managed to pull away from Max Swiderski, who finishes 4.3 seconds behind. Mies Huben started on the front row with Radenkovic and completes the top 3. Rather close between 4th and 6th, and then you have a look at the battle between 7th and 10th. It looks a bit closer between 7th and 8th, because it looks like Sidler and Lambers dropped off the pace a little bit further as we got into the final stages of this Minimax pre-final. But Mateo Radenkovic, your pre-final winner here on day 1 in the 196. Max Swiderski rounds out the top 2 in the 107, running on the Energy chassis as an independent. Mies Huben from GKS Lemons Power completes the top 3 with Laurens Herboz in 4th. Mats van Rooyen rounding out the top 5. Dave Stevens, Jake Menton, Kaz Tobben, Tino Sidler and Lars Lambers rounding out the top 10. And it was an all-Verheyen 11th and 12th finish, with Thomas finishing ahead of Ruben, with Mick Vandenberg rounding out the 13-strong that completed all 15 laps of this 1,388 metre circuit here at Karting des Fagnes. And then next up, very, very shortly, we'll have DD2 and DD2 Masters for their pre-final here today.